Hello and welcome to another edition of the Gersnet Podcast, the weekly and independent Rangers podcast brought to you by fans for fans, where the content is always absolutely free. I'm your host for this evening, James McGee, delighted to be joined on the semi-final second leg preview, my good friend Gary Valentine. How you doing, Gary?
Not bad. How's yourself?
Aye, buzzing, mate. This is the longest 24 hours ever, I think.
I've been off all week, so I've just been farting about in the house waiting.
Kicking your heels, basically.
Pretty much, aye.
We're obviously going to, look at the second leg against RB Leipzig tomorrow at Ibrox, 1-0 down from the first leg, everything to play for. But before we do, continue tonight's show, guys, just, want to take a few moments, and I've written a kind of wee piece here, a wee tribute piece, if you give me just a kind of bit of time just to read that here for you. Of course, as we pay our respects to a colossus of the Rangers community who sadly passed away suddenly this week. Jimmy Bell was more than a kitman. He was, in many ways, the heartbeat of Rangers Football Club. A constant presence through the best of times and the lowest of times. He ensured that anyone who stepped through the famous front doors of Ibrox Stadium was made aware, acutely aware of what it meant to be a Ranger. Jimmy's tenure at Ibrox, he served under 12 of the 17 managers, 49 trophies in total, 18 Premier League titles, 3 lower league titles, 10 Scottish Cups, 17 League Cups, and of course the Petrofac Cup there. And I know we're obviously mentioning those lower league kind of trophies, but again, just to kind of highlight the fact that he has been there through, the good times and the bad. And while we do mourn the passing of Jimmy as a Rangers legend, we must also remember first and foremost that Jimmy was a devoted husband, father and grandfather, and it's his family and loved ones that we hold in our thoughts at this time. On behalf of myself and the entire team at Gersnet, I just want to send our sincere condolences to the Bell family. Rest easy, Jimmy. So, anything you want to add on to that, Gary? Any kind of wee stories that you've heard about Jimmy that have kind of come to light, just as the outpouring that we've seen, from players across, decades from the club, going as far back as, the Souness era, all the way through Walter Smith, McLeish, all the way through to modern day. The outpouring that we've seen has been absolutely amazing, and the stories we've read and heard they just keep coming.
Yeah, I quite like the one I heard yesterday from Josh Windass. Asking for gloves, says Brian Laudrup never wore gloves. Aye,
that's right. Aye.
Said I was born in 1985, so as much as I've knew what Rangers is, Jimmy Bell's always been there. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people will say Walter Smith was always there. But Walter Smith wasn't always there. He went away and came back, and different guys. Jimmy Bell's been there constantly. Aye. And it says even 2012 and everything that happened to us, he stayed. Mm-hmm. When we won the league title last year, because there wasn't as much a crowd or anything there, the one thing that stuck out to me was every single player wanted a picture of him in the trophy. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter if it was Defoe who'd played in World Cups, or if it was Bassey who was just a young player starting out, or if it was McGregor and Davis who'd been there previously and won titles before. So to me that shows the respect that they had for that guy. And the videos you've seen over the last couple of days, whether it's Gaza meeting him or it's Van Bronckhorst meeting him, after years and years and years, and it's the embrace that they gave him. And it's probably, I think he's got a reputation as a grumpy guy, and we all probably laugh at his reputation and a stereotype of what he's like as a grumpy guy, but I think it maybe shows that he wasn't all what his stereotype was made out to be. He was a genuine class guy. And it's another story that always makes me laugh is when Gerrard got unveiled as a manager, and they done the wee kind of video, and he's in hanging up the strips, and it was hello Mr. Gerrard,
that's right.
And it was, he looked at him as if to say, "You're interrupting my routine here. This is what I do at this time. I can't be bothered with this." It was like an absolute borrowed superstar just walked in.
Get your staff. I'm hanging up these jerseys. Get out the road.
Aye. Brilliant. But if I could just say as well, I've seen a few people mention as well about Hall of Fame and things like that. I'm not sure what the happens with Hall of Fame exactly. I'm not sure if Walter Smith or that's in it, or if it's just for playing staff. But certainly, if there isn't something there, after this year with the passing of Walter Smith and also Jimmy Bell, I think it's something that should be looked at, because to be a Ranger isn't just to play, it's the service that you do. And like in 2012, when a lot of people lost their jobs, it was a tiny, somebody that was had been there for a long, long time. These people, it's what makes Rangers special. And for me, these people should be remembered and not forgotten. So a Hall of Fame or something would remember these people, and I think that'd be a great thing for Rangers to do.
Aye, no, spot on. I agree 100% there, Gary. I know we've not seen kind of much in terms of Hall of Fame, the kind of last a good while we've not done entry for the Hall of Fame, but as you say, these people make up the fabric of the football club. It was the heartbeat of it. I mean, just as if all the stories, as we've said, just keep coming. There was the one for Stevie Smith as well that I seen. He says whenever he broke into the first team and he was walking about with a bit of a swagger and he's thinking, he's made it. As a young player does, he says, you think you've made it. He says, and he walked in and he took 2 towels. He says, and quick as a flash, Jimmy Bell goes, John Grigg didn't take 2 towels, son. He's like, I just cuts him straight down and he says, all right, no bother, sticks one back.
But that's what it's all about. It's you want somebody to kind of to break the guys like that, and that's what makes Rangers special. I absolutely love hearing stories like that. It's a pity that because it was so sudden, that guy's not had the chance to write a book or something like that, because I bet it would be an absolute cracking read.
Oh, the stories he must know, and unbelievable. So aye, a sad day, especially in the 150th year that we've lost Walter and now we've lost Jimmy Bell. So some kind of tribute to them, Hall of Fame, whatever it needs to be done, more than deserving. So aye, rest in peace, Jimmy. So we'll move on to the football part then, which is obviously why we're here. So the second leg against RB Leipzig, a semi-final of a European trophy again. Probably the most important game for the club since the final in 2008, quite possibly.
Yeah,
and just the form of the team's obviously coming into the tie. Obviously we drew 1-1 with Celtic. Great performance. We've had the show where we've kind of covered that off and obviously spoke about that at length and covered that. But a game that we bossed and we should have won. Sakala hitting that post late on, but really proud of that performance. I thought the boys were immense, especially given the personnel that were missing. Leipzig have travelled to Mönchengladbach on Monday night. They're a crunch Bundesliga game as they're looking for that top 4 finish and a place in the Champions League next season. 5 changes to the team that face Rangers. Orban and Simikin coming back into their defence. Campbell and Mukele coming into the midfield, and Andre Silva up front with Olmo and Nkunku. 3-1 they went down on the night. The third goal for Mönchengladbach coming 13 minutes after Mönchengladbach actually went down to 10 men, so they conceded a goal against the 10 men. It's back-to-back Bundesliga defeats now after Union Berlin beat them 2-1. So, I mean, it shows the strength of the Bundesliga, Gary, that Mönchengladbach were 13th before that game against Leipzig. They're now up to 10th. But, I mean, do these 2 games with Union Berlin sort of show, and Mönchengladbach, does it sort of show Gio and his team's maybe weaknesses that they can exploit? Because two games in the bounce, obviously they beat us. It took a wonder goal from Angelino to do us. But, there's those 2 defeats there. Is there something for Gio and the boys to look at and maybe pinpoint some weaknesses that they can exploit? I
certainly believe there is. If the wee guys are a lot more clued up than me about tactical things and that. But if you're watching the games and they're getting, as I said, it's two games in a row they've been beat, so they have got weaknesses, and it's the better teams. I believe Union Berlin's our kind of bogey team this year for bits and bobs I've heard. They've clearly got weaknesses. If I'm being honest, I wasn't that impressed with them last week. I think we were happy to give them the ball, and they played into our hands, and it was due to as you said, a wonder goal that they kind of lost it for us. But I'm like, everything that's emitting for Rangers now is a kind of quiet confidence, and I kind of share that. I think we've got a massive chance. We can definitely get at them. I don't think they've got any superstars that were missing last week. I think they've got a big squad, the same level of player. So yes, they can rotate, but I don't think, other than the guy who was scoring the goals, the Cuckoo or whatever it's called.
Nkunku.
Nkunku, I'd never heard of him until last week.
It seems to be everybody's an expert on him now, but I'd never heard him until last week either.
But he seems to be the kind of poster boy. But so everybody around them, they seem to be a really good squad. Even if somebody drops out, it's a similar level of player can come in.
Aye.
last week we've probably said their best. I know they were missing two first choice players, but they can bring in that quality in again. I believe that they took off the two defenders at the weekend as well, on Monday night, because one of them was ready to get sent off, one of them was in a nightmare. So as I said, I'm very quietly confident.
Aye, and that quiet kind of confidence you're talking about there as well, that was exuded a wee bit by Gio in the press conference. I mean, and obviously we had the kind of, again, more tributes to Jimmy Bell and, Tav and Gio talking about the kind of wee things, Tav talking about the armband, and Jimmy would put the armband on for him. So, but I mean, there was that kind of determination, quiet confidence, as you say. I mean, in terms of Roofe and Ramsey, he was asked about them a couple of times, differently worded questions. Are they going to be there? There's one training session left, Gio said, and he's given them every chance to make it. Now, last week I heard, and again, you hear these kind of rumbles and tweets and things like that Roofe was apparently, again, this is a rumour, was ready to go on Sunday, but Gio didn't want to declare him fit, wanted to keep him for this game, and he's still keeping his cards kind of close to his chest. Now, he used the terms that, the players, Ramsey and Roofe, have been working towards this game. I mean, he's probably not wanting to give anything away, Gary, but I mean, you're looking at it and thinking, they're going to play.
I would think so. He's mentioned this game for day one. As soon as they were out injured, that this was a game that was kind of penciled for them to come in. I heard the same as you on Sunday, that Roofe, if it was a must-win game, which I don't think Sunday was. I think the league was kind of was already over whether he won or not. I think he could have played, but it wasn't. So he's done the right thing, in my opinion. This is the biggest game, not even of the season, in the last 14 years. And I think the positive is that if these guys do play, whether it's I'm not sure if they'll start them both or whatever, but we've got the potential here, or the chance here, to give them both, say, an hour. And if we do manage to go through, then the guys can be wrapped up in cotton wool again until the final. And in 2008, we didn't have that opportunity. We were a game every couple of days, had to play the strongest team all the time. Guys were falling on were dying on their feet. And I was at all the games at that point. I was knackered, so I could just imagine what the players were like. And I think we're in such a unique position. And as I said, I'm so looking forward to tomorrow. I really am.
Aye, because what you said there, Gary, about, even if they get an hour at them, do you think we're going to see Gio tell them, look, let's just use the power at Ibrox, get the crowd behind us and go for that fast start? We've seen it, against every opposition that's came to Ibrox, Red Star were subjected to it, Dortmund, Braga as well, that rapid start, getting an early goal. Or do you think he might tell the boys, look, let's just go and size them up a wee bit here, don't open up too soon, just in case they do sneak one? Because we need to score first. I think there's no doubt about that. I think if they were to go 2-0 up in aggregate, I think you might see the head drop a wee bit. But, if we can get ahead, early doors, crowd behind us, if Roofe and Ramsey only have an hour in them, then just go hell for leather, empty the tank for an hour, and then, as you say, wrap them in cotton wool for the main games that count. I know we've got Dundee United coming up, league game, but, we could potentially have two massive cup finals apart, this month.
See, when you're saying that if we lost the first goal, see in my head, see, as long as we win the game tomorrow, can even go 1-0 down, win 2-1, that takes it to extra time. I understand you're saying it's been 2-0 on aggregate, but we should just focus on the game tomorrow, win the game tomorrow. If it goes to extra time, great. If it ends up being a 3-1 or whatever, even better. But talking about Ramsey and Roofe again, if they are declared fit, we can go with the same team that started against Braga and basically blew Braga away in that first half. And we kind of done that against Dortmund as well. And a Red Star, a fast start. The fans will want that now because I've seen it so many times, and I think they'll expect it. They'll drive us on to do it, and you think the players will be up for this as well, so they'll want to start well as well. And so yeah, I can't wait. I'm absolutely buzzing about this, as you can tell.
Aye. No, I mean, because I was watching also the Villarreal-Liverpool game last night, and they were in a kind of similar situation. Also, they were 2 down, and they came out and they were absolutely rapid. 2-0 up at half-time, places bouncing. But what happened with them, I noticed they seemed to really fall away condition-wise. And that was something else at the press conference that I noticed that Gio was asked was about the players' fitness, because they touched on the fact that was 2 games in a row they went 120 minutes. And then again on Sunday, you know, we've been the better looking team, the fitter looking team in the latter stages compared to the opposition. You know, I had to get that in there. But it was touched on, and Gio said, you know, that credit to the players for the kind of the physical conditioning, but he says that physical conditioning is also down to mental, or your mentality. He says for looking after yourself, doing the right things and that. So I don't have a kind of concern. He certainly didn't have a concern about the kind of fitness levels, but it was just interesting to see that, you know, again, Villarreal was sort of the underdog in that tie. They went up, but it was their fitness that killed them. I mean, so again, all going well tomorrow. If it does need to go to extra time again, I don't think I could quite handle extra time and penalties for another semi-final. So. I'm far too old. 14 years old, I don't think the ticker could take that this time. You know what I mean? But aye, so I mean, in terms of lineups, then, have you had a chance to kind of think about if we're saying Roof and Ramsey will feature? My lineup I've went for here, I think McGregor, Tav, Goldson, Bassey, Barisic, Jack, Ramsey, Lundstrom, Kent, Roof and Aribo. I don't know what's your thinking. And I know you mentioned about the same team that started against Braga. So
yeah, well, that was Ramsey playing on the right, Aribo and Kent right. behind Roof. So that was, if he's fit, so they'll know better than us who could be risked for that hour. But if Roof's even half fit, I think he's got to start. I say, as much as I like Sakala, don't think he's good enough. Itten's not good enough. Morelos obviously isn't there. I would go with Roof and see how it goes. If they don't want to risk 2 of them, I'd maybe go with Scott Wright, who seems to have given it a bit of form in the last few games, and play him on the right. But then he's also played Kamara as a kind of attacking midfielder.
I noticed that.
Last few while, so he could maybe do that and then play Aribo on the right hand side. But it just depends whatever his tactic is. Obviously, he'll see a weakness. I'm sure he'll set up the team to go with that. But certainly on paper, if everyone's fit, I don't see what's wrong with going with the Ramsey and Roof and they go the same team that played Braga and just treat it the same way. We're 1-0 down then. Go at them 100 mile an hour. And if we get that a quick goal, Ibrox will be rocking. And I can't see us losing that game if we score first.
Aye. Just checking the kind of comments coming in as well on the live chat there as well. Folk talking about John Lundstrom, kind of Barry Ferguson-esque and kind of that arrogance that he's kind of got now, that kind of confidence that he exudes. And he's certainly one that's came, I mean, hand up. I wanted him gone in January.
Yes,
I thought he's a waster, doesn't get what it's about, and all of a sudden, just if somebody's flicked a switch and this guy just gets it now. So he's going to be absolutely huge given the form that he's in now as well.
But in the space of 4 months, the guys went for somewhere that you would have probably drove down to England for free to somebody who you're looking at saying we could build your team around him next year.
Aye.
Because he's been that good, and it's like fair play to him, because there's better players that have crumbled at Rangers because of the fan pressure and not being able to get what Rangers are all about. But he's, take my off to the guy. He's proved me wrong, and I'm glad. I'll criticise Rangers. I try not to wear blue tinted specs when I give my opinions. If I see somebody I don't think is good enough, I'll say. But I always want to be proven wrong, and I'm glad he's proven me wrong, because he's the last month anyway. He's been outstanding. But since probably Dortmund, and he's just never looked back.
Because the video that came out of him as well, walking out,
swaggering outside Parkgate.
Swaggering out, just giving them growlers and all that. The dogs abuse.
Scott Arfield was the same. Was that amazing?
He actually just laughed, but that's what I thought was hilarious with that as well. They're waiting behind to hurl abuse at the players, and then they get annoyed that they get laughed at. I thought, brilliant.
They effectively won the league, and that's what they wanted to stand outside at Parkgate and shout abuse at Rangers players. Nuts.
No, mental. But I mean, it's in terms of, we're talking about obviously the most important game for the club since the final itself in 2008. But we always, again, some folk don't like whenever you bring up 2012, obviously, because you kind of keep using that as a barometer, and you can't. And I stand with Eck and his views on that. Is that it's something that we can never lose sight of. But it's just something that was tweeted at the day as well. I never realised it until it was done. Was that 9 years ago today, we lifted the third division title after beating Berwick Rangers 1-0 at Ibrox with a Fraser Air diving header. And yet here we are 9 years on in the semi-final of a major European trophy again. Did you ever think back then, watching everything that had unfolded, that you would see? I certainly never thought you would see this kind of thing again in our lifetime.
No, I can remember that game. I watched it at my work on a Sunday and got double time. But watched it on my iPad, and it was absolute torture to watch. And it was, and at that time, the Charles Greens and the Imran Ahmeds and the Easdales and all this, and it's absolute rogues gallery. And it was getting to the stage you're just like, is this it now? I was at the Challenge Cup final when we got a beat off Rafe Rovers, and it was sad. It really was. It was. I've got a lot of friends that are Celtic fans, and you're getting ripped off them and that. They're playing Barcelona and whatever in the Champions League, Man City's in the, and we're struggling to. We're 2-0 up against Alloa, getting beat 3-2, and getting knocked out the cup and everything, and you just couldn't see how it was going to turn. It just, even when Warburton took over, and then you can Kashinia, it was an absolute disaster, and can Joey Barton, Senderos, can Herrera, we can name all these. You've got to be able to look back to appreciate where you've came. Where you are, if you know what I mean.
Aye.
When I see a lot of guys like will maybe criticise a draw against whoever, and we've maybe we drew with Dundee United one of the games this year. Probably that was at the chain that cost us to fall away for the league. We could have had a penalty with a goal disallowed, but we absolutely battered them. And you've got guys criticising, and you're like, you've got to remember where we've came from. And even before Walter Smith appeared the second time, Rangers weren't in a good place. We've only won, I think, 6 titles for 2000. We've not been in a good place for the third of the millennium. So this has been 22 years. And I think up to maybe when Gerrard came in 2017, 2018, that was when we kind of got our club really back. And it was a different mentality. It took a couple of years to get there. I said when I was previous on the pod that I think the squad players have underachieved. I think that they should have won a lot more.
Right, definitely.
Especially when they consider Celtic won 4 trebles or whatever it was, and we've only won 1 trophy in that time. And I think that is criminal. I think the players were far too good for that. But now we've got the chance to win a European trophy, and this isn't we could get lucky. Like 2008. We know their luck. Let's not kid ourselves on.
We did.
Away goals. We've seen all the highlights, and mind the highlights are brilliant. But if people who aren't old enough to remember, some of the games were torture. And see, especially the Fiorentina game at Ibrox. I remember taking the day off for that, going to it, and oh my God, that was one of the worst games of football I've ever watched. But see, now we've actually outplayed these teams. But it's not just a one-off either. This has been, since Gerrard came in, this has been a gradual build-up. That they've improved year on year, that they've went toe-to-toe with like a who's who European football. Yes, not the top names of the Champions League, but certainly teams that wouldn't look at a place in the Champions League. And your Portos, your Galatasarays, Benficas, Leverkusen. We've not been embarrassed by any of these teams.
No.
And now we're 90 minutes away from a European final, and I can't believe that's where we are now, compared to, as I say, beating Queen's Park in the last minute, and the original Glasgow derby, and building all up as if it meant something. We knew at the time, we're all kidding ourselves. We didn't want to be there, and it's funny when you mind all the things in, and like, it was Queen of the South, and McCoist had been sacked, and then he hadn't been sacked, and McDill was the manager, and like, in the days you were just thinking, are we going to hear a team again? What's going to happen here? Is this it? Is this it? And now we're league champions, we're semi-final of the cup winners, the Europa League, and we're in the Scottish Cup final. I've just had a kid there, And I'm going to tell him that's his first year. That's what happened at Rangers. And didn't get used to it because the last 22 years hasn't been that great. Like, it's brilliant. I'm so happy that the team's turned around. And I just hope that a lot of fans appreciate and don't forget where we have came from.
Aye, because what you're saying about having the wee in as well, you know, again, my nephew, he's 15, you know what I mean? So majority of the time he's been following Rangers. He's only known, he's never known what the real Rangers is like. This cup finals and league champions and runs in Europe, that's what we grew up accustomed to. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's great to see the kind of younger generation getting to appreciate it because, as I said before, you know, 2008, I remember went over for the beanbag and stuff like that, and my wife and my father-in-law, and I'm like, we'll never see this again. This is a once in a lifetime, a European final, and here we are. You know what I mean? We're 90 minutes away, and again, have we beat better in this competition? Having watched me in the first leg, I would say we have.
Yeah,
probably beat better in the competition. So if we can get as close to a full strength team as possible, get Ibrox rocking, let's do this. Let's take the last step and get there. I cannot wait for tomorrow night.
And the positive is as well is that no matter who we get in the final, it's not like a team that we can't go toe to toe with either. If we get there, when we got there in 2008, Zenit were getting money thrown at them. Right. You knew that they were a lot of their players were playing for Russia. Yeah, I think it was that year's World Cup or European Championship or something. A lot of them got big moves after that kind of spell. So we knew we were kind of underdogs in that game, but an Eintracht Frankfurt or a West Ham, to me it's, they've got bigger budgets. But I think team-wise, I think we've got as good a chance as them.
Right, 100%. So roll on tomorrow night, but I think we'll wrap it up there again. I think we might get all misty eyed and start talking about the old days.
Sorry for ranting about the old days.
Nah, it's all right. We're not a retro podcast, but could maybe do a segment on retro right enough. You never know. That's a wee tangent we can go from there. But okay, guys, thanks very much for tuning in. Just remember you can check out gersnet.co.uk. We've got the forum there, articles, history archive, and much more. We're now at over 5,400 subscribers. So if you like what we do, subscribe, share, tell your pals, tell your mates down the pub, tell your uncle, tell your granny, get them to subscribe. Give Frankie a follow on Twitter at Gersnet Online for all the podcast updates. Colin and Eck will be live tomorrow from Ibrox pre and post match. Who needs Sky Sports News? You know what I mean? Get Gersnet and we're free. No subscription required. I will. So again, remember to tune in for that tomorrow, guys. Pre and post match with Colin and Eck. The big build up for the Europa League semi-final second leg. Let's do this, Rangers. Into them. Thanks very much for watching, guys.